In France, a parliamentary commission rather, has stirred debate after recommending a ban on social media for children under 15, along with a digital curfew for teenagers up to 18. The move follows tragic cases linked to harmful online content, including the suicide of an 18-year-old girl after viewing self-harm videos on TikTok. While supporters say the proposal is necessary to protect young people, critics warn that it may infringe on rights and prove difficult to enforce. So we are asking, should social media be restricted for young people, or is education and regulation a better way forward? Now, let us get into the discussion. I'll be having this discussion, of course, with Deborah, my co-host today. Do you think that the government should restrict access, or should the focus be on other things? And when I mean access to social media, yesterday we just saw what happened in Nepal, where protests burst out from the Gen Z camp because the government decided to ban social media. And so here, today, we have a situation where a young teenager killed himself as a result of self-harm. So what do you think? Do you think the government should, ban social media or regulate access to social media?
This just shows, how will I say, what you get at the expense of freedom. But, freedom, giving out, will I say, I don't want to say overly free, or will I put that word? But freedom given out at a much expense is not good, especially for this kind of children at that age. At that point, a teenager at that age is still trying to get on with what life looks like, what life is about. And you exposing that child to that particular social media platform to that extent is not good. Now I like what this government did, different from what the last government did. Like you mentioned, the last government took away social media. Now this government is still allowing your freedom, still giving you freedom, but giving you safety rules to guard your freedom. Now, they're not telling you you're not free to talk, you're not free to go on social media. They're just telling you that, okay, these safety precautions have to be looked into so that you do not fall into the wrong hands when it comes to being free or having or gaining freedom on the social media platform, and which is the best way to actually approach a matter. You cannot take away social media totally from that child, because it's like saying the child doesn't have the opportunity to be free to do whatever they want to do. But yes, in that freedom, we're telling you that these are the safety measures that should be taken to heart in that particular freedom given to you. And I like the fact that the government focused on the parents. I like that fact, because of course it all boils down back to our parents. What do our parents think of what their children are looking at, what their children are spending time on, and how their children communicate with most of these social media platforms. So yes.
Okay, I totally agree. Parental responsibility is something that we must really take a very close look at, because whether we like it or not, the people at the core of ensuring that this goes on are parents. Parents have a sole responsibility of regulating how their children have access to social media. On the other hand, I do not think that children should be totally banned from using social media.
Of course.
I recommend restriction. I recommend boundary. I recommend that screen time should be regulated. I can tell you, okay, or even their parents who do this, tell their children, when you're done solving your mathematics assignment, then you can go online for a certain period of time. But people who are 15 are really kids, in my opinion. What do they need online? If you're going online, you should be going online to learn. Why are you active on social media? I mean, these days we are seeing lots of content creators who are children. And so virality, popularity, and of course the money that comes with that fame can be a factor that influences children or parents to allow their children to get onto social media. But what you want to see is regulation. I'm not sure I'm a mother who'd like my children to be exposed to social media before 15. If you want to do things, or you do things that I can have online, fine, you could do it, but I'll be the one in charge of the account. But you can't be in charge of the account. You won't have access to. If you want me to document your life, I might decide I want to document my child's life and give it to you as a gift. Maybe when you turn 18. But at 15, nah. Even though we see a lot of children these days, at 10, at 11, they're already having access. And I'm not against having access to gadgets, no. I am against social media because the kind of conversation that emanate from those spaces, the kind of things they're exposed to, I feel like they're not, developed
Matured
enough
enough
to
to take those things in.
handle some of those things. But let them have access to AI, let them have access to learning digital skills as early as possible. But being exposed to social media is where I draw the line, especially for children, because they don't know how to draw the boundary. They just know that, oh, TikTok is like this. There are kids on TikTok who are just dancing. And that is it for them. And before you know, your child starts dancing. But what are you learning from all of that? You're only learning to be popular. What does it add to you? How does it develop you mentally? How does it develop you socially? This doesn't take away the place of being social. This doesn't take away the place of having access to the good life. It just regulates the things you're exposed to. Like I said, the children can learn. I mean, there are classes that happen online these days, so the children can be exposed to learning skills at a very early age. But that they would be on from Facebook to Instagram to what are you looking for? Excuse me. So,
So, most of these countries, connectivity and all of that happens online, especially on their social media platform for now. Especially
so the
now
child wants
in
to
this
call you through
particular period of
WhatsApp.
time.
You call me through
Yeah,
your direct line.
that's
You
why
call-
it's called that's why it's called social media, for social activities and to actually socially interact with other people. And I'm not saying it's good to expose your child at that age. Like you said, they are not mature enough to handle some of the activities that take place on these particular social media platforms. But we should just try to curb the way our children go on the social media platform in order to avoid some of the things that happen or take place, the issues that come up on social media. But taking them away from social media totally, I don't think, at the age of 15, for goodness sake, that child is, to an extent,
So you think that's okay to have
to
a
an
child at 15?
extent, at the age of
What are they
15,
looking for there?
to an extent,
What are they looking for? They want to socialize. What are they looking for?
socializing
You
online.
socialize with your friends. I think that's why there's a whole lot of disconnect these days, where you go into and you go to, I've not seen parents, children, a whole family together, and they're just seated. Everybody's on their phone. There's no conversation happening in that family. For families to observe morning devotion or, whatever ritual in the morning, after that, that's it. Everybody gets on the phone. If you have a room, you get into your room and that's it. No interaction, no connectivity. But these kids are very active with their friends who are online. And so what happens is, while I'm chatting with you from your own house, you two are disconnected from your family that with you physically. Is that what we want? So we are raising a generation where we have a lot of young people who cannot really socialize. So you go into an event and you see a lot of people, everybody's just on their phone. You see you're going on a date or you're going out with friends and everybody's still on their phone. It's enough to take pictures. I mean, don't get me wrong. Good, take pictures. But that shouldn't take away the place where you have to share. There are connections that cannot be explained through typing. It's the same way I still value people who take out their time to send proper text messages to me. Or people who write with their hands. Because I feel the weight of it. I feel like you're more intentional. But if they're not very careful, we'll raise a generation of people who the only thing they know how to do is to, before it used to be ping on BlackBerry, the only thing they know how to do is to just chat with their friends whom they do not know. And some of those friends are the ones who lead them into a lot of things. We just read a case of self-harm. And so we have people who are like that. But your child should have access. That's what I think. Your children should have access to the online space, but not social media. You can browse, you can learn, you can take online classes, you can do yoga, you can do every other thing. But what are you looking for on Facebook and TikTok? What are you looking for?
Okay, so why I'm throwing this question back? It's because there are children, or will I say humans, that find it difficult relating with people. Yeah. And we know of bullying, of course, in schools. There are cliques in schools, and there are people who do not actually fall under these cliques and who do not actually have a clique, and these social media platforms actually give them the opportunity to speak to people even way far, and the reason why they are free is because they know that these people are not closer to them, they don't see them, so they just have the conversation. So if the conversation is going well, it's nice. There are people that are like that. So what will you say about this particular type of people who can actually interact with their fellow friends or schoolmates at school personally, face to face, and they find it more relaxing to relate with people online? There are also people who are not able to relate with their parents. There are so many situations.
Yes, because they are finding comfort in other places, and that's the thing. There are lots of children who use social media as an escape.
Of course.
A child cannot speak in public, but the child is very good at chatting with 100 people online. So rather than develop physical public speaking skill, the child is busy correcting grammar, chatting from morning till the next day. It doesn't cut it for me. So while there are people who are hyperactive and there are those who can just mix in the crowd, I think that there cannot be a balance. When children are exposed to social media, they take it the wrong way. Trust me. I'm saying this from a place of, I remember that my dad would tell me, Chi, you only have a phone when you take first position. Trust me, for the 2 times I kept taking second, I wasn't allowed to touch a phone. It's not that if I needed to browse, I could browse. If I needed to do anything with the phone, I could do it too. But that you carry your phone and be doing to go. It was really to go that time. From where? Why? Or Facebook. And I now realize how that has helped me today. There are people that cannot go a day without their phones.
Yeah, of course.
I don't even want to hear my phone ring. So there are people who cannot hold interactions with people. And some of them will say, oh, it's because I'm an introvert. It's because... No. They're not introverts when they touch their phones. Have you ever heard people that they call, those people they refer to as keypad warriors? Very solid online.
Very solid online.
It doesn't take away the place of, you just want to keep your cool, you just want to be yourself. What I'm against here is the excessive use of social media. And I know that for children, it is very easy for them to get deceived.
Yeah.
I've read cases of children who were kidnapped because of social media. They ran out of the house because one boy promised something to a young girl who was just 13, and then there are cases of rape that has been recorded because of social media. Children, again, do not really know where to draw the line. And so you're telling them things that they've never... Imagine boys telling your young girls or teenagers things they've never heard. They've never heard you as a father tell them you love them. Then one hopeless boy online is telling them, I love you. Oh, please, can you come here? Do you understand? So, and at that point, you won't think that you're 13. The only thing is, I'm a big girl, that whole craze of you're getting grown. So that's regulation. It's hard for parents to... I'm saying this because when people say, oh, parents must take responsibility, parents struggle to control teenagers. You have no idea, because you could control your child at home and the child goes out and another child is coming to school with a phone and an iPad, and the child is telling the other child is telling your child, my father allows me to do anything I want. My mother allows me to do anything. They don't restrict me. Your child starts seeing you as an enemy. So when that child, bounces back, it becomes very hard. So you see that the line is not just for the parents. So it is even better if there is like a unified agreement in schools. These are the only things that children can do. For instance, we have some platforms like YouTube. You have to include your age. If you're 13, there's certain content that they won't allow available to you. But then we have some platforms that are very porous. They do not care who is accessing it. And then you have people who post all manner of things online. Do you want your child to be exposed to that kind of thing? That's why I feel like regulation is better. I'm not saying bad, of course, but regulation is the way out. So government shouldn't restrict access, but they can regulate how things go on there and carry parents along. There are parents who just put on YouTube and give to their child who's just like 6 months. Just stay there, watch different videos. And what videos is the child watching? The child is watching skits of big adults that I think I saw one in my church, and I told her, you're exposing your child a lot. The child is just 2. She just carried her phone. I think it was this person's content, Brother Shaggy. He just gave the child, and I'm sure the child doesn't even understand what she could hear. And the child was laughing because Shaggy was laughing, and some of the things he said were things that are not appropriate for a child. But she just gave the child her phone. To her now, the child is happy. What are you doing to that child? And all of those content came from Facebook. So you can imagine that exposure. And the child I think that child is 2. If she's not 2, then she's less than 2. So, and I had to tell her, no, they are age-appropriate content. If you want your child to stop disturbing you, allow the child watch cartoon. There are cartoon that teaches you alphabets, that teaches you a lot of things. Why don't you allow the child to watch things that are age-appropriate? Watching the child an adult comedy, why? You don't like Brother Shaggy. How does your child know Brother Shaggy you didn't expose the child to? So the regulation comes from even the government and the parents.
Themselves. I always say it that the parents have a big role to play in this. Even if the government try to implement most of these, security policies, the parents, it still falls back to them because, of course, if you're not monitoring what your children are watching online, the government cannot come to your house and help you monitor. Neither will the tech companies know what or who is behind the screen. And I think we're talking about it when it comes to age, and most of these teenagers faking their age and IDs online just to get access to most of these social media platforms. Because I think I am aware of so many, YouTube especially, has to do with age preferences, with your Google account being linked to it. And we see so many teenagers actually fake IDs and create a Google account and get access to YouTube, getting access to some content that are not, will I say, palatable for them at that age. And if they are still doing that, it still falls back to our parents. So our parents have a lot and a major role to play in this particular situation. What your children watch, how long your children stay on screen, and also the parents themselves. You need to have time for your children, because the reason why a child will find, will find safety online or will I say to be able to interact with or have conversations, good conversations with people online, is because they are not having these conversations with you as parents. So have time for your children, create time for them, have time to talk with them, and away screen. Will I say it's screen time that the government had already said?
Okay, yeah. So we did a little note on the way forward and, how to help children. And one of the things that we're listing out here is that we need parental support systems. And how do we do that? Providing parents with the necessary tools, resources and awareness campaigns to monitor and guide their children's digital activity. There are a lot of parents who are not really aware of things that go online. So they need to be armed with the right information. They need to be armed with the right tools to be able to, regulate what their children do on there. And another one is platform accountability. What do the parents need to do? Or everybody now is involved in this one. We need to enforce stricter regulations. If we must include fines, that's okay. Or even bans, in situations where it's very intense or the offense. So for platforms that exist, there has to be regulations or bans if they consistently fail to protect minors. Because the truth is, no matter how much we say, let us try and not allow children to get on there, children will be there. But those platforms now have a role to play in ensuring that minors are protected on each platform. You can also do something like verifying the age of the children. If a child is 13, I know for Facebook, if you're not more than 13, you can't get on there. And for some platforms, 15. So if we can do something like that, that works too. You want to share something with us?
The youth involvement is the one that, and the way it's bringing, the way it's coming to me is, if you want to take a thing away from a child, you must replace it with another thing. And you must involve them with creative and innovative programs that can actually involve their skills and their mental thinking. apart from taking social media, if you take away social media and leave them that way without doing anything, you just find out that you're raising a child that knows nothing about everything. And knowing nothing about everything is also a disease and will also still eat up. So if you're taking one thing, try to replace it with something more innovative and beautiful to actually replace the time of your child.
Okay, so on the final note, I just like to say this as a wrap up that the French proposal may seem drastic, but it is highlighting a growing truth that children's digital lives are inseparable from their real world well being. So, whether it's through bans, education, or regulation, the challenge for France and indeed the world at large is to create an online environment that is both safe and empowering for young people. So ensure that whatever you do as an adult, as a young person, as a platform regulator or an owner of a platform, ensure that minors are protected, adults are protected. Everybody who accesses your platform, accesses social media, accesses a conversation on there is protected. We do not want to have cases of suicide, cases of addiction, cases of things that we cannot even list out right now. We just want people to live and live safely. We like to keep this conversation going, so do well to reach out to us across the different social media platforms by sharing your thoughts with us. Do you think that social media should be banned for children or should it be regulated? Whatever your take is, we're on your side. So share with us at Idea Television across the different social media platforms. But until we come your way next time, I guess it's bye for now.